That room, that flat, took my childhood from me. I think I was raped by around 150 men over the 3-year period.
It's alleged that a child grooming gang is at large in the city of Hull.
Sky News has spoken to young women who have named their attackers and provided documents that seem to support their claims.
Sarah was groomed by 2 men when she was 13 years old. At first, they brought her food and presents, but she says after 2 months, one of them raped her. He then brought her to this block of flats, where she was raped by multiple men.
He'd obviously decided that I was a good enough candidate to take to the next level and introduced me to this other guy and exchanged some money with this other guy, which I later found out I was sold into the sex trade. They were coming in sometimes 10 or 11 men wanted to rape me per day.
In a spider graph Sarah later made for the police, she identified 11 key players who came to the flat: the 2 groomers, the buyer, and other regular abusers. She numbered them and provided photographs, which we've obviously blurred. These were items in the flat, used to intimidate and control: a taser, hammer, and handcuffs. How did he persuade you to keep coming back?
I had to go. He threatened me. And as a young 13-year-old girl, being told you're going to be buried alive and set on fire, it's scary.
We have a text exchange between Sarah and one of the men in 2018.
Where have you been? You lose money for us. I'm sorry, I got into trouble where I live. Lots of men who sex with you asking for you. They want a white. I'm not a. Yes, you are a. He insisted she come immediately. You know what will happen if you don't. We put you in a van and beat you and take you to Hessel foreshore and burn you while awake, then bury you near water. Okay, I'll come. Good.
Sarah and other victims say the abuse happened mostly in flats and hotels and was sometimes filmed.
There's videos out there of me as 13, 14, 15-year-old little girl being raped by men. I've seen them. They've shown me them. Yeah. One of the videos is captioned, "English girl gets against her own will." And I was just prophet to them.
We asked former police chief and expert in child exploitation Jim Gamble to help us examine evidence provided by the young women.
You see the fact that the predator is so confident in their ability, their level of competence at controlling these young people, that they don't even try and hide it or mask it. I'd be surprised if they're not able to pass the evidential threshold, because what you do have is you have significant levels of corroboration.
Another alleged victim we're calling Anna kept a diary of her abuse.
Bitten, hit, slapped, dragged by legs.
For Anna, the abuse started with an older boy from school who she trusted until he turned violent.
Rape. I can't write anymore.
After this, a group of seemingly connected men took control of her life. She was contacted with explicit requests and felt threatened. One man took Anna to this forest to threaten her.
He was saying how he could kill me here and bury me and no one would realise. And then he strangled me and everything just went black.
Alongside the threats was a kind of brainwashing. Sometimes Anna felt like the men loved her.
The whole cycle you're in, it's hard to get out of. You just normalise to it.
In the beginning, I think there is an element that it feels like they're in a friendship or a relationship. And I think that's where that brainwashing comes in as well. In that, actually, I've done this for you and I've given you everything. And that would be true. They have done that. So now you need to pay me back.
Anna was over 16 when the abuse started, so during the police investigation there was a greater need to prove she was coerced. However, that evidence does seem to exist. Firstly, she took photos of the bruising on her neck and arms, which match injuries she mentioned in her diary. And she regularly updated her school's welfare officer, who made her own log of what was happening. Over the course of 18 months, there were 290 logs, mostly referring to concerns about child exploitation.
A police investigation into the alleged abusers was wound down after 2 years. There were multiple allegations, but no charges. The police said they'd exhausted all their inquiries. And whilst they didn't disbelieve the women, they didn't find digital evidence to support their stories from the suspects' phones.
Do you accept that maybe the digital evidence just isn't going to exist because it's done on Snapchat?
of course it is. You know, that is a possibility that's always going to be there. If we can't see it, we can't prove it.
So then what I'm saying is, if you've got the school reports, you've got the teacher saying, well, I saw the text, you've got the girl showing you the strangulation marks, aren't you going, well, we haven't got the digital evidence? Well, hang on a second, why don't we just test this in court?
Getting something to court, as I'm sure you're aware, is, you know, it's not easy. We've got to get through the evidential threshold. So have we done every line of inquiry we can? Yes, I'm confident we have had.
I ended up in Hull because of a gang of individuals who were trafficking me for sexual exploitation.
The young woman we'll call Kate hasn't been interviewed by police in this investigation, yet her testimony seems significant.
But I just remember being back of cars, just being raped and sold.
Being trafficked into the city, her story adds another dimension to this case and implies a larger scale network.
The only way I can describe it is like different hubs. So you would have like a local group who run an area, but then like they're networked in with other areas, and then what they would do is swap girls, and then you'd be that group's for say the night or a couple of days, and then you go back to yours.
Have you spoken to any other women who've been trafficked into Hull from outside of Hull?
That's not relevant to this, is it?
It's not relevant?
I don't believe so. Because I thought you were talking about the ins and outs of marksmen.
So if anyone